Yeah.
Oh, how did you?
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to bring this meeting to order. It is October 2nd. It's a Wednesday. It's 9:09. And clerk, could you please call the roll?
Alan,
Alan on the way, thanks.
Oh,
thank you.
Hold on a second, please. We're getting feedback.
Ellen is on her way.
Exactly.
Okay, we're good. You said.
How many minutes, Miss Allen? You know?
Probably 15.
All right. Thank you, Deb. Is get here as quickly as you're able to. And we'll,
I should,
Safely.
but drive,
I should,
yes,
I should,
drive safely,
okay, I
please.
sure, I sure will. I'm sorry, what?
Drive safely.
Pay attention to your driving, dear.
Okay, I sure will.
You want nothing to happen to you.
All right, let's continue on. Mr.
Bates, Berman,
Herman is here.
Davis, Ford, Gums,
Comes remote.
Caius,
Highest present,
Kenyon,
here in the room.
Linder,
Linder here remote.
Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Strathman,
Strathman in the room.
Surges,
Surge is remote until 11:30.
Tuppy,
Duppy here.
Here as well.
we do not have an in-person quorum.
All right, as we know, we have an in-person quorum?
We do not have.
Oh,
an
we,
in-person-
okay, thank you. We do not have an in-person quorum. And I know Miss Allen is on her way, which we are very grateful for. I would like for those people who are listening online and those people who are not in attendance, please note, we need you here. Because of the requirements that we have a quorum, we cannot conduct business with this boardroom without your presence. This is something we all signed up to, and the only reason I'm saying this is it has been noted that there is quite a few absences that are occurring right now amongst our board members who are doing it online. I know that that is permitted, but realize that it's only should be for important emergencies that do happen. If you are really ill and you can't come, we don't want you spreading your disease. If you do have a work-related issue, that again is permitted, a childcare issue that is permitted, or if you are traveling for the work of the county, that is also permitted. But please, if you can attend, we need you here so we can conduct the business of the county. Otherwise, it's going to get pushed back. So we'll continue now with our meeting. And we'll wait for Miss Allen to come here before we can conduct the consent agenda and move that forward. If not, we postpone until she arrives. I'd like to, before I begin the pledge, I just want to let you know that after Ms. Mann's presentation, we're going to have a brief but substantive presentation done by our clerk's office, representative of our clerk's office, to give you an update of where we are with our voting. So I think you'll find that very informative all around. Okay, so thank you for that. And Marina, could you do the pledge? Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will not be able to do the approval of the minutes, so we'll delay that. Is there any public comment? Jeannie Meyer signed up online. Is she here for public comment? All right, very good. Thank you. Ms. Hopkinson. There she is.
Hi, the finance packet is in your
is on the agenda and in your folders. If you have any questions on the details, let me know. I'm just going to go through a few highlights that I went through with the finance committee. In terms of our annual audit process, we had previously completed the annual audit, the financial part of the audit, and received a clean opinion. We have also just recently completed the audit of federal funds. So the auditors checked to make sure that all of our federal funds were in compliance with the eligibility requirements of the grant agreements. We also received a clean opinion on that. This is for fiscal 2023. Our forecasting, in our finance department, we kicked off a week and a half ago, a meeting to install a forecasting software. This is going to take several months. It was the forecasting software that I used when I was at KDOT. And we'll pull in all of the county's data, and that's going to help a lot because right now I'm just using spreadsheets to do forecasting. Property tax levies, as part of the budget process, we haven't brought the property tax levies. If you recall, there are all individual property tax levies for every fund. We haven't brought them forward yet. We're going to be doing that at Finance Committee in October. And I will note that the Supervisor of Assessments has given an update on the actual amount of the assessed valuation of the equalized assessed valuation and the new construction dollar amounts. That new update will bring in an additional $24,232. That is with zero property tax increase. That is just additional taxes on new construction, but it'll bring in $24,232. So I wanted to bring that to your attention because we'll be making a change to our 2025 budget to incorporate that. Also wanted to give a heads up that KDOT is recommending a couple of changes to their draft 2025 budget. They want to decrease spending in one fund in the amount of 2.5 million, and they need to increase spending in another fund in the amount of 335,000. So this is a heads up because we'll be making those changes when the county board takes a look at the 2025 budget. And the other thing that I wanted to give a heads up on is, at the Finance Committee last week, members of the county board from the Finance Committee asked for some information on number of employees. The entire county board should have that information now. So if anybody has any questions, Jamie Labrilla worked on putting all those numbers together.
And what is that exact number?
It was Jamie did an analysis across multiple years and showed we pulled the numbers right from, we pulled the 20, they're all from our budget book. They're all from our budget. So it's budgeted positions. So it shows, she also graphed it. It shows trend lines by department. And, but that was emailed out to the entire board yesterday. Anything?
Are there any
other
questions? I have one. There is, if you could put together for the next week and then send it to us, please. The treasurer put together a flyer, indicates that we have increased our expenses from 2020 to current times substantially. And there's no detailing on what those expenses are. I think we know here. But is there any way that you could put those, at least broad-based numbers, if it has gone into repairs of our buildings, if it's gone into new hires or new programs that we have developed? I believe that most of that money has come from federal funds, but if you a little bit of clarity on that so that we make sure that when we reflect on that number, we're reflecting on pure data. Because numbers are mercurial. They can be manipulated.
Will do.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Sure.
Any other questions? No, thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. All right, Ms. Mann.
Good morning. Yesterday, we had a well-attended but somewhat windy ribbon cutting for the Doberman Road Extension Project. I want to thank you to Mike Way, Steve Koffenberger, Jackie Forbes, and our own Blair Peters for their help in putting that together and making that a great success. Also to the board members who showed up yesterday for the event. Our community outreach continues. Our last blood drive got 23 pints of blood. I know that it's people are becoming very comfortable coming to the county building, utilizing it for services that they need. One of these is a blood drive that the American Red Cross has now seen a great benefit to have it here. So they're going to be coming again this month. And they seem to be hitting their marks to help our local hospitals with their blood supply. We also had a very successful visit by the Secretary of State's office. People looking for real IDs, we had those fill up very quickly. We hope to partner with the Tollway next year. So have the Secretary of State and the Illinois Tollway here at the same time for people who are looking for those services. I did give a speech before the Women in Business Group for the Geneva Chamber of Commerce about all the functions of county government and took some questions from them. And I helped organize a nice POW MIA event that happened at the Veterans Memorial here a couple weeks back. Very nice. And that's my abbreviated report. If you have any questions.
Are there any questions for Julie? So I attended the POW MIA event and it was quite touching. It was truly a lovely, lovely event. And we're going to be speaking about recognizing our veterans in another manner in a little while as well. So thank you. Thank you for allowing us that opportunity to recognize all those who have served and in this case have either lost their lives or still are missing.
I should mention that that was independently organized by an outside group. I just helped facilitate it here at the county.
Absolutely. All right. Brian, John, I think it's your turn now. Tell us what we're doing with our voting.
We got your money. No, we want your.
Good morning, Brian Pollock from the Kane County Clerk's Office. I don't know what we're doing with our voting. We're just there to let people vote.
Hold on a second, Brian. I've got to reflect on that comment that was said by Mr. Kenyon. Can you say that out loud? It was quite funny. Happy Halloween.
Good morning and happy election day. We have 40 election days, so this is just one of them. You'll probably notice that often you'll see people standing in line as we orderly bring them into the office. Early voting began on September 26th at the county clerk's office locations in Geneva and Aurora. Handed a few of these out earlier. All the information's on the website, but some people like to have little handouts. So we have the big flyer of our early voting locations. So as is the normal, what we call like the early voting period that begins 40 days out until 15 days out. Those locations for what we call regular early voting and grace period voting beginning next week are located at the clerk's office locations. And then at the 15-day mark, that's where the expansion happens that you're used to, where we have it at 25 locations across the county, including our VoteMobile locations. So those are, again, on this sheet on our website. We encourage you to follow our social media and encourage your constituents to as well, because we micro-target posting of, do you live in Pingree Grove? Here's your options to vote, or do you live in Batavia or wherever? So you can see, here's where the permanent voting sites are, here's where the VoteMobile sites are going to be, or the ones that are at the Village Hall or whatever that open up on those days. So we want people to see all of their opportunities to vote. So we update that regularly. One of the other handouts I gave you that has the QR codes, we sent a version of this out when we sent our mailer out to registered voters back in August. We feature this on social media several times. It lists the 3 different ways to vote and the QR codes that go with each. So if you're out and you're at an event or you're talking to your constituents and people ask, well, when's the early voting date? Or when is it going to be in our community? Take your phone out, hit the QR code. It'll bring up the early voting page. You can go and bring up this flyer. If people have questions about vote by mail, how do I apply for it? How do I track my ballot? Click on this. It takes you to the vote by mail link. You can show them to go to the track your ballot site. And if they've requested a ballot, they can track it. If they want to know, where do I vote on election day? Well, the good news is you can vote at any site in Kane County, but it's hard to say vote anywhere if they don't know where those anywhere sites are. So you have your election day site here, click on that. You can do your voter search, put in your name, address. It'll bring up a sample ballot and tell you where to vote or the closest site is to vote. So these are available for you. Everything, like I said, is on the website, but this is a nice, handy little thing to have with you so you can pull them up at any time. The other handout we gave you was one of the reports that we run daily that shows the number of people who have early voted, not how they voted, just that they early voted. So we have those numbers. And then also you see the number of vote by mail ballots requested, both domestically as well as for our overseas civilians and military. None of the domestic vote by mail ballots have been returned, but as you can see, we've had about 23 of the overseas ones come back. So we sent out a little over 40, almost 42,000 last week at the first point we can, and then they go out on a rolling basis as the new requests come in. And then at the bottom, those numbers that say Republican, Democratic, nonpartisan are not indications of how people voted. All that indicates to you is of the people that have either requested a vote by mail ballot or have voted early, it just indicates the last partisan primary that they took. So you have a kind of idea. Obviously, we have no idea how people are going to vote. Just lets you know what the partisan breakdown has been. So that's that view of where we're at. I can point out we don't know, we don't have an exact apples to apples of how many people voted right now versus how many people voted at this point in 2020 because it was a different time schedule. The election was on a different day. It's hard to do an exact snapshot. We had more vote by mail ballot requests during COVID. So the numbers are going to be a little bit off. We think that that was kind of an anomaly, but one thing that we are seeing is a huge interest in early voting. On the first day of early voting, we had over 600 people voting, and that was more than, I think, 30% above the first day of early voting back in 2020 even. So we don't know how things are going to come out because there has been an increase of interest. So we'll see what happens when we get to that. We're just encouraged and excited and enthused that people are coming out to vote, and we encourage everyone to vote in the manner that they find is convenient to them. Also want to point out John Gaglione from our office. I'm going to have him come up and talk a little bit about our election judges and some of the other measures we're working on in the office.
Good morning. Just to let you know, if you know somebody that wants to become an election judge, please refer them to our office. We're taking applications still for election judges, and we'd like to see more of them. Just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done to improve the experience of the voters. As Brian mentioned, with the new equipment, we now have vote anywhere on election day. We've also stepped up our training. We have done a very, very thorough job of putting together a online training for our election judges. So we noticed after introducing this in the primary that there was much more consistency in the applications of the procedures and far fewer complaints by percentage. So we think that that's going to go a very long way to improving the voter experience. Anything else that I think that's really about all that I had at this point. So, and if you have anything that you would like to see or want to know, you're all welcome to come into the office anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
And we do, some of the board members have come over, especially during the time where we were printing the ballots. We welcome observers, and some of the board members saw what was going on. They're like, you do all this here? I mean, it's a really neat process. So, you know, we will, once the ballots start coming in, there's that sorting process and that intake. You're more than welcome to come in. If you do have specific questions, it's so much easier to come over and ask and see it in person as we're going along. So we welcome you at any time, and we thank you for your support. the voters like the machines, and we appreciate your allowing us to do that. So.
Are there any questions? Yes, Ms.
Only,
Stratton.
only a comment. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think with the new machines, it's wonderful that people can vote anywhere. Working as a poll judge, poll watcher over the years, it's been very frustrating when people show up the wrong place and they have minutes. And so that's a wonderful improvement. I'm glad we've done that. Thank you.
Thank you for your assistance.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, Surges.
Yes, Mr. Surges.
Hey, I had a senior constituent call on opening day of elections and asking questions that I could not answer. I did parlay that to Jack's office, and Celeste called the individual personally, as did Jack. And I just wanted to acknowledge that and say thank you so much for the cooperation. Very much
good.
appreciated.
Very good. Your office is very responsive. It truly is. Anything else? So two questions.
Quorum has arrived.
Well, almost arrived. Ms. Allen, why don't you come up while we're, and welcome and thank you so much for being here. It is immensely appreciated. So, are we still getting a large influx of early voters who are coming now since the big rush at the very first day?
Yeah, it's a nice, consistent number each day. Usually at this time, if you're looking at the whole 40 days, this is probably the lowest turnout. You get a huge boost the first day. And then during those last 15 days, when we have all the locations open, that's when people are voting a lot more. So if you do want to vote early, now is the time. We can't guarantee that you won't have to wait a few minutes, but this is probably I won't say the low point, but we probably have less lines now than we will as we get closer to election day. But yes, they're still consistent. Yesterday, there were still people out the door at times during the day. So
Excellent. That's very good. And then the next question, have you worked with Ms. Mann's office to help disseminate information about the election judges?
we can always,
I am following you on social media and posting everything you've got.
we've seen those
Okay.
things, yes.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to present this. It's very informative. And perhaps we will not meet again until after the election. Is that correct?
Election day is November 5th, so
We just moved the executive committee meeting to the Wednesday,
Yeah. So
or to Thursday rather, from Wednesday.
if you'd like to come, obviously an open invitation depends on the committee chairs. But I assume that if you have any updates that you'd like to share with us at any of the committees you feel important, please, your door is wide open.
thank you so much.
All right, Deb, I'll give you a minute to get yourself organized and then we'll get you to work. All right. Have any of you voted yet? Good man.
Mail-in, you mean, or what?
Or just, just voting.
I think that's a good point. Too. We can track those ballots. I guess I forgot to ask. They
Yes.
take off?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You have to stop over there.
Good. All right, is there any old business that
Back
we?
to the minutes.
Any old business? Hold on, any old business? All right, so that we can go back now to the minutes. And may I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of,
Madam Chair?
Do we have to
Ms. Caius?
approve a remote,
I'm sorry?
remote attendance first?
Go ahead.
Yes, approve the
All right, we're going to approve the remote attendance, which is Mr. Linder, I see you. I see Mr. Surges. I see Mr. Sanchez. I see Ms. Gums. And I believe that is it. Correct? Yes. Do I have your permission to allow them to come in? Yes? Yes. Okay, very good. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. And now a motion and a second to approve the minutes of September 4th.
Madam Chair, this is Caius. I would request that for unanimous consent for the approval of the minutes from September 4th, 2024, with no objection.
Okay, all
Change.
good? All in favor? Yes, aye, no objection. We're good. Okay. Now let's to new business. May I have a motion and a second to discuss proclaiming Operation Greenlight for veterans?
Berman moves.
Thank you, Mr.
Sanchez
Zimmerman.
seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Zimmerman, I see you online. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an initiative of the National Association of Counties. Many of our surrounding counties here have done this in the past, so this would be our first year of doing this. The proclamation declares the timeframe from now through Veterans Day, November 11th, as Operation Greenlight for Veterans, and encourages residents to display a green light outside their home from November 4th through November 11th. If this passes, Brent Boraski from Building Management has agreed to put green lights out front of the Government Center as well as the old courthouse. There was a mention of the Public Service Committee of doing that throughout the county at other county buildings. I hadn't heard back from him. I did invite him to this meeting. I don't know if he's here or not. Of note, this proclamation was drafted by the National Association of Counties, but it was 2 pages long, so we had to pare it down to get to our 1-page requirement here.
Very good. Roger, could you come up and explain how we're going to be managing these green lights? Since this is new for us.
Yeah, so Brent Brasky had been working on this with a couple of people from veterans. And I think that the challenge is just the electric, trying to get something that's more of a solar battery type of powered rather than running electric. But we're looking at devices that can do that now. I think for the Government Center and 3rd Street, that's reasonable to expect that we could do that. I think extending it to some of the other buildings that are less visible or maybe not as frequented would probably be cost prohibitive is what I would say. So certainly 3rd Street in this building, I think we can get that done.
When we had talked previously, we mentioned the Veterans Memorial. Is
Yes.
that going to be?
That
lit up as
was at
well?
this campus. Yes.
Okay, because that to me is critical,
Yes.
since it is recognizes our veterans. All right, do you have a budget for this?
It's not something that we have budgeted, so it would be something coming out of just our general operating.
Okay, would you have
So-
those numbers for us by next board meeting? So we
Yeah,
just have an
we could
idea.
get you some numbers for what the cost would look like.
Okay, and are you, is this committee very comfortable with having it to be at 3 locations at the old courthouse, with Building A, and then at the Veterans Memorial? Yes, everybody okay with all of that? Okay, very good.
Okay.
I think it's a wonderful testimony to our men and women who fought just fought for us, and engaged us, protected us, and honored us.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Good, yes.
Thank you, veterans, for our peace and freedom.
So I think we
My
need,
favorite saying.
I think we need to take a vote on this so we can move it forward to the full board. So could you please call the roll?
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums. Ms. Gums. Gotcha. Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Pepe.
Duffy, yes.
Passes.
Okay, very good. All right, let's go on now to our preliminary county board agenda. Mr. Sanchez? Jared, are you able to speak? All right, why
Yeah,
don't
I'm
we?
here. Sorry. I was having a little coughing
Coughing.
fit there.
Okay.
I apologize for not being there. I woke up feeling like a Mack truck hit me this morning. I think it was a EV Mack truck, but still nonetheless.
The best kind.
All right, just plug yourself in and get better.
Yeah, exactly. So we have just one resolution for you today from the American Rescue Plan Committee. And it's approving a grant agreement for the Behavioral Health System Improvement Project with the Kane County Health Department. It's just part of that overall $9 million behavioral health initiative that we approved previously for the health department. And these are just one of the routine approvals as a part of that.
All right, are there any questions on this?
You need a second?
We need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Now, any questions? Yes.
Just to comment that this is a fantastic program that the Health Department has created. Congratulations, Ms. Strathman. And I'll be glad to vote yes on this.
Ms. Strathman, do you want to say any words about this?
I'm very excited and the work has already started and there's a lot to be talked about when we will be letting people know as things develop. So it's some really good programs.
Could you, again, for the next board meeting, could you give us an update on this program?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm curious, out of the $10 million, how much we have expended? How much we have and how much more we have to go to achieve our goal of having strong mental health opportunities here in the county? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very exciting.
All right, let's take nothing else. Let's take the roll call. Vote.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ms. Gum signed back on. Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe.
Duffy, yes.
Passes.
Mr. Caius.
Yes, from the Administrative Committee. This is Chris Caius, Chairman. And I would ask on item number 1, the resolution adoption of the King County Long Range Facilities Master Plan. I request that the chair postpone this until next executive meeting. And after we've had a meeting of the whole, and we'll have the presentation then.
Very good. Okay.
Item number 1, and I believe we'll check with state's attorney, but I believe that's appropriate if the chair, rather than go have a,
Without objection, it could be,
okay, so without objection.
could request unanimous consent to postpone.
Okay, thank you. Don't hear anybody. Great. Item number 2, resolution. I'm going to present a resolution authorizing additional funds for the Building Management Department using the Omnia Joint Purchasing Agreement with Amazon Services LLC on online marketplace. That's $75,000 per year. And I believe it's through May 5th, 2025. And that I will move that page 121 if you want to reference that. So that was my motion. Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Berman, second.
Thank you, Mr. Berman.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
And this is simply on resolution 2.
That's correct, too.
Resolution number 2.
Oh, okay.
Omnia online marketplace with Amazon.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Guys, yes?
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis. I'm sorry, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Pepe.
Duffy, yes.
Passes.
Motion passes. Item number 3, may I have a motion in the second to,
Are we doing?
All of them together, Mr. Caius?
Yes. This is a consent agenda.
well, this isn't the consent agenda.
No,
Yes.
Okay, I can move them all at once and then,
we can go back
Reread
and
them?
read them.
okay.
So why don't
Sorry,
we?
this is the first time. Usually Berman handles. Yeah, I apologize. You'll have to bear with me on this one.
We're so used to hearing your charming voice. So we've got so we're moving 3 through 10.
3 through 10.
Customarily, I think, Shepro, we have asked if any member would object to having them moved en masse, and that in that case, that one would be separated out.
Okay, is there anybody that objects to have all of them once? Then I
No,
would move all of them. Then, no,
Okay.
there's no objection, so they're all moved.
Well, hold on a second. Yes, sir. Mr.
Ms. Leo Frank, you still have to call out each one individually
Yes.
with the
Yeah.
actual full
Yeah.
title, and then
Yeah.
once you
We know.
finish that, then they can take the vote.
We got that. We
Okay.
got that.
But I'll have a motion and a second for all of them.
Is there a second to approve?
Berman,
3
second.
through 10, thank you. Thank you,
Three
sir.
through in, okay, then number 3 is a resolution authorizing contract for Kane County's Adult Justice Center's domestic hot water project with One Source Mechanical Incorporated. That's bid number 24-052-TS for $1,890,000 and $1,890,082. No cents, and that is, I believe, on page number 123. You want to reference that? Item number 4 is authorizing a resolution authorizing a contract for building management flooring services with Manzarini Incorporated, bid number 24-042-TK for $400,000 per year for a 3-year contract on page number 178. Item number 5 is a resolution authorizing additional funds for engineering and design for HVAC systems with Kluber at the Adult Justice Center, RFQ number 23-058 for $1,312,680. That's on page number 239. Number 6 is a resolution authorizing a contract with Valdez Architecture and Engineering for engineering and design for HVAC systems at Kane County facilities. And that's RFQ number 23-058 for $330,035 on page 271. Item number 7 is resolution authorizing an agreement with White and Company for the renovation of the Public Defender's Office project. That's for $700,000 on page 296. Item number 8 is a resolution authorizing purchase of technology institutions to optimize integrated communications equipment, products, or services from Zetron Incorporated for the Information Technology Department. That's $700,000. On page 303, item number 9, a resolution authorizing additional funds from fiscal year 2024 Mill Creek SSA budget for Kane County Mill Creek SSA engineering firm services with Hampton, Lenzini, and Renwick Incorporated, HLR. That's RFP number 23-016, which is less than or equal to $250,000 for 1-year contract, or up to $250,000 for 1-year contract. That's on page 341. Item number 10 is a resolution authorizing a contract extension for Mill Creek SSA holiday lights and decor services with It's a Wonderful Light. Bid number 22 I was waiting to say that, bid number 22-029 for $10,859.51, and that's a 1-year extension. That item is the very last page, I believe, on page 347.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cos. This is the first time you have done all of this because usually it would be going then into
I get one at a
finance.
time.
Yes.
Thank you for your patience.
Good job. Good job.
That's tough.
Good
Dale.
job.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
All right, we have a motion a second, and there is no discussion on this, so clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes?
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe.
Duffy, yes.
Passes.
Okay, very good. Ms. Bates.
Resolution approving a change order with Confluence Climate Consultants LLC.
Allen, seconds.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. All righty. And I see that there's a change here of $10,000, $987.
The change order was for $10,987.
Any questions on this? And why the change order?
It was extended to complete the contract.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, with no questions, clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe.
Steffi, yes.
Passes.
Okay, Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Finance has agenda items 1 through 14 for consent. If there is no request to discuss any individual one, I move for approval of. Steffi seconds.
I have a request just to briefly discuss number 2 and number 3. Let's get an update on that, please.
All right, so my motion would be to approve the agenda items excluding 2 and 3 at this point. He accepts a second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Item 1 is a resolution approving August 2024 claims paid of $12,534,432.29. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the county to contract with Humana Incorporated to provide the 2025 healthcare continuation coverage for Medicare eligible retired and disabled employees and surviving spouses. That's $350.65 per month for a single and $701.30 for a family. Item 5 is a resolution approving the Kane County per diem meal rates for calendar year 2025. And those rates are listed by the GSO. Item 6, a resolution authorizing the creation of a position of fatality review manager for the Kane County Health Department. It's $210,000 and provided by ARPA. Item 7 is a resolution authorizing IMRF benefit protection leave for one individual not to exceed 5,000. Item 8 is a resolution authorizing Houston Galveston Area Council, HYAC, purchasing cooperative agreement. 9 is a resolution approving transfer and payment in accordance to the agreed order for case number 13L134 of $260,243.73. Item 10 is a resolution authorizing subaward agreement with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus to perform recycling education and outreach in Kane County, $83,333.33. 11 is a resolution authorizing to enter into annual Kane County Health Department grant agreements. And 12 is a resolution authorizing execution of a grant agreement with Lighthouse Recovery Incorporated to expand medical assisted recovery services and appropriations of funds, $300,000. 13 is a resolution authorizing transfer of transportation capital fund number 540 into transportation sales tax fund number 305. And 14 is a resolution authorizing a contract with Tech Applications and Consulting LLC for the 3 DEP LIDAR project, bid number 24-053-KK for $91,525.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. All right, may I have a, no further discussion on those items. Could you please call the roll? And this should be voting on 1 and then 4 through 14.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe.
Steffi, yes.
Passes.
Very good.
Madam Chair, Berman here. I move that for discussion and approval of item number 2 under finance, the authorizing fiscal year 2025 non-union cost of living wage increase of 3.2%.
Is there a second?
Surges, seconds.
Oh, man. I'll give it to, let's give it to Mr. Surges if I may, Miss Allen. All right, the reason I would like to just to bring this up is I see this, but I don't see how it's going to impact our budget. Do you have any idea of what those costs are going to be, Mr. Berman? And then it's related to number 3 because the merit increases are based on total payroll costs to that department. Dale, do you have any idea how much it is?
No, I do
Does
not.
Kathleen?
Sorry.
We
So,
can have, Surges here, we can have those figures available, as a maximum amount, not to exceed type of thing for next week.
Okay, that'll be fine, Mr. Surges, but Kathleen's up here and she may have some numbers for us.
Perfect.
So the original resolution that had passed through finance and executive before it was sent back to finance was for a 2.5% cost of living in the budget. And then it was changed at this 2 weeks ago at finance committee or last week at finance committee to change it from 2.5 to 3.2. So that additional change of 0.07 would be an additional $454,278 across all of our funds across the county. The impact to the general fund would be $273,657,000.
Would you say that slower?
So
Slowly. I got the 454.
454,278, and this is based on budgeted positions. This is based on the budgeted positions. And then the impact to the general fund would be 273,657. And this includes, when we did the calculations, this includes the additional payroll taxes and pension costs.
So that, all right, so that's all in for that
Mhm.
amount. And is that standard what other counties are giving their employees? If we did it, because it literally just came out, and so there was no opportunity to really discuss it. Is this what other counties are comparable compensation increases?
I don't know all the other counties. No, for sure.
Okay. Do you know the CPI?
Well, the CPI that we're using, that was used for the budget, was 3.4. The state of Illinois Department of Revenue in January issues a CPI statement that is to be used for truth and taxation hearings, et cetera. And at that time, they issued it, at the time that they issued it, it was 3.4
Okay.
for upcoming 2025.
Okay, so we're slightly under. All righty.
May I ask,
Some space.
so the 454 was, would you tell me that again, what the 454 was?
That's the difference between when we put the budget together, we had originally built in 2.5% for cost of living. And at the finance committee on September 25th, the finance committee increased it to 3.2, which is an additional 0.07. So that impact of that additional 0.07 to our entire budget is
Entire budget,
454.
okay.
Yeah, that's all funds.
All funds.
We
And
have
then-
over 100 funds.
So then you said 273 to the general fund.
Correct.
So you don't add those together? You
No,
subtract
no,
them,
no.
right?
The 273 is a part of the 454.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So just logistically, and this will be with the merit increase, since there's going to be a change in the budget lines for those. We've already has the budget out for public comment and that, so are we simply going to be doing a budget adjustment? How is this going to work?
That is a question. I've had some initial discussions with the state's attorney's office on how this would happen. I have a recommendation from just a mechanical procedural standpoint and how my staff and I have to put numbers into our software. Because at our October 8th county board meeting, we're going to have the draft budget, which will, I'm going to be bringing a couple of proposed changes, the additional 20-something thousand in property tax revenue, and then KDOT has some requests, which I mentioned earlier. And then the two resolutions, these two resolutions, the resolution on the cost of living and the resolution on the merit increase are going to be on that same October 8th agenda. So it would be in my just mechanical procedural, it would be my recommendation that these two resolutions be treated as a budget amendment. That the 2025 draft budget, obviously it's subject to change by the board, but that be passed because there would be no way that the board could adopt these two resolutions on cost of living, the additional cost of living and merit increase, and for us to print out a new copy of the entire budget and then hand it out and have the board have a chance to look at it. But then again, the other issue is that this cost of living resolution never did pass the board to begin with. So I've had some preliminary discussions with the state's attorney's office on how to handle this procedurally the best way, but the budget could be adopted with the amounts for the 2.5, and then we could bring back an amended budget, or that these two resolutions be treated as amendments to the budget.
Mr. Frank?
Frank. So either way, it kind of works out the same way. It's just a matter of timing on whether or not the board wants to see it when they're voting on the whole budget, or if they want to do it after the fact. These kind of changes that you're doing or that you will be doing in October, should it pass here today, can either be done after the fact through a budget amendment. So Ms. Hopkinson is correct, but whether or not the board wants to wait and to do that after the budget is passed is up to your discretion. If you do it the same day, which is what you've done in the past year, if you may recall, we had to make on-the-fly adjustments in November, which is not preferred by anybody. That said, though, if the board doesn't believe it can get through the budget without these things included, then effectively you're going to have to make a separate amendment on the fly. The adjustments will have to be made, and then you're voting on that budget, which makes this ordinance and the other one superfluous. It's redundant. But if this gets pushed back to December and it gets modified into a budget adjustment, that's the other way to do it. So it's really up to the board and whether or not you believe whichever the way the budget's going to play out, whether you want to do it all at once or you want to do it after the fact. But we're at the point where we can't even do it beforehand. So it's either same day where all the changes are made on the fly, or it's done after the fact. The one thing that Ms. Hopkins and I have talked about is what would it take for them to have multiple budgets available to you? And it sounds like it is going to be somewhat of an exhaustive process. So that said, we are employees of the county. If you want us to do that, we will get it done. But just know that going in.
Yeah, and I will just add this. So we are in the midst of, within our software, adding these two resolutions, because the merit increase pool was never included in the draft budget that was put on display. We are in the midst of creating another version of our budget that would include that 1% merit increase and this additional 0.07. But then again, just in discussions, we're like, well, what if those numbers change? They could change at a county board meeting, right? So we can have another version of the budget ready for next week. But my question is can that, at that point, is that an amended budget? Or yeah, how does that work? So.
Okay, I have a follow-up and then I'd like Mr. Berman and Mr. Frank, absolutely. Just for clarification. So we are moving forward with a full budget, which will be brought to the board next week.
It's already been on public display. It's already actually exceeded the required days that it needed to be on public display.
So the board can approve the budget. Let's just do one at a time. The 25 budget as presented to the public next week. Then we have two items which will impact that budget. can those resolutions be approved through this committee, moved independently of the approval of the budget to the full board, and then present that amended budget to the board, to this board, not the new board who will be seated in December, in November?
And I would say this, the county amends the budget probably every month.
Correct.
That we have budget amendments, we have new grants that we receive. We're probably every month the county board is approving amendments to the budget. It's routine. So that's why my recommendation is if you approve the budget on October 8th, these two resolutions are just treated as amendments that we process through, and they're just treated like any other routine amendment to the budget.
Mr. Berman?
Madam Chair, I agree. I think we approved the budget and we'll have these as amendments to the budget after the fact. So.
Correct.
So approve the budget that is on.
One,
Ms.
the
Bates?
budget that-
Yes, Ms. Bates, could you?
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry, Madam Chair. So we would,
Ms. Bates, you need to speak to your
we
microphone.
would approve the budget as there. We would approve the budget that's been on display, and then this would become amendments to that budget.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
My
Mr.
recommendation.
Mr. Caius?
Yeah, this Caius, is there any reason to believe that we wouldn't pass those as amendments?
No.
That they would fail?
I think if it's recommended by this executive committee and it was approved by the finance committee to move forward, which is why it's here. I can't speak to the board.
And then there was a reasonable expectation that those amendments would pass, and it would be much easier to have it done at that way rather than put our staff at loggerheads and work harder than.
Well, we've
than we
already
need
been
to.
working to process
Yeah.
all of these, but I'm just talking
would be-
about just,
Those 2 points, then it's easier for them, and I don't believe there's any reason to believe that wouldn't pass. Those wouldn't pass. I would say we just move on.
Okay. Yes, now, Mr. Frank.
The only thing I would tell you to consider is, these type of changes are kind of large wholesale changes, because while it is a $700,000 increase, that's only the 2.5 to 3.2. So the total numbers will be a lot larger. You may want to at least bring them up, consider them, figure it out how you want to play it. But I do agree, if you can make these budget adjustments after the fact, it is procedurally easier. That doesn't mean it's substantively easier, but it is procedurally easier.
Yes.
However, if you do that, that makes this ordinance and the other one completely needing rewritten. Because instead of it being just an ordinance authorizing, it needs to be a budget adjustment. So if that's the way you guys want to go about it, we can fix that. And at the next following county board meeting, they can be brought up for the first time or brought up to the executive to consider through a budget adjustment. But either way, I'll just be kind of blunt with you. Either way, the way these things are currently written, they're either going to be redundant by doing it in October, or they're needing to be changed for December. So just FYI.
Well, you keep on mentioning, and Mr. Sturgis, I see your hand up. Just give me a minute for clarification. The budget has to be, we can do a budget adjustment in December with the new board being seated. We can do the same budget adjustment for 25 in November. I don't see, because you keep on mentioning in December.
Oh, sorry. I meant to say November, meaning the following month after you vote on this would be in October.
Perfect.
So used to us doing it in November.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to get it all done with this board because it is this board's decision. Mr. Sturgis.
And Madam Chair, I just want to make sure that, whichever direction we're taking here, the point of adding the merit increase was to fall in line with our current guidelines and expectations. If we don't do that, and we do it as an amendment later, are we kind of going against our own rules and ordinances? Or is that totally okay to do? I just want to make sure we stay out of the hot water, because this continually gets missed, and we just need to make sure that we're in compliance with our own, with those guidelines that the 24 board members have set forth.
Okay, thank you. I can assure you that we will be in guidelines and we will match whatever required is from the policy that was set forth, because we can be working with Mr. Frank, who will, and our well-respected Jamie Labrillo and Kathleen Hopkinson to make sure that all the dots are dotted and Ts are crossed to bring that forward to the board. So I have no doubt that full confidence, I should say, that we'll be in complete compliance with our policies. Isn't that right, Mr. Frank?
So nothing about this is any concern relates to state law. This is purely board's discretion. If you all decide to add a merit increase as well as a COLA, you can do that at any time. You can do that how you want it. It's just a question of whether or not you want to make it a part of the budget, which you'll be making an oral amendment to make it a part of the budget in October. It's just a question of whether you want to move it till after.
Okay, okay, very good. Thank you. All right, yes, yes, ma'am.
Alan here. Are any of these decisions being moved to December?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I heard that, but I
No,
didn't know.
that's-
Thank you.
I was clarifying that as well. We have to make the decision. Okay, is any other discussion on item 2? If not, then thank you for allowing this discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina, yes,
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes, and thank you.
Pepe.
Pepe, yes.
Passes.
Okay, very good.
Item 3 is the resolution authorizing a merit increase pool for Kane County Democrats.
Here.
Now you see. Did you just read that?
Wishful thinking.
1%, I move for.
Who would like to second it? I'll second it, Ms. Strathman. All right, I pull this in. I think that we can just, after the previous discussion, we have a full understanding of what we're going to be doing with this, that this merit is going to be based on the total pool. Isn't that right? Ms. Labrillo, do you want to just come up and just clarify?
Yes, the amount of a pool will be determined based on 1% of the salaries in the department, and then that pool will be able to be used at department head discretion as a merit-based increase for the staff that they feel are deserving of a merit-based increase.
And just a question for personnel, is that documented as to why individual A would be getting a certain amount versus individual B?
Yes, the process is documented and approved in our compensation policy, and it does require that a completed evaluation form be submitted with the request for the increase for that to be put through.
Okay, and is each one of the employees evaluated separately? So even if you have a large group of employees under your purview, each one is being managed by their manager and give them goals, objectives?
That is best practice. That is currently determined by the department heads is how evaluations are handled within their department. But in order to receive a merit-based increase, an individual evaluation form does have to be submitted by policy.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that. Any questions on this? Clerk, could you call the roll?
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Caius, yes.
Kenyon, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes,
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Enthusiastically.
Pepe.
Pepe, yes.
Passes.
Good.
That concludes the finance portion of our consent agenda. Thank you.
A little shortened version for you, Mr. Berman.
You can tell by looking at your book.
Yeah, it is different. It is different. Miss Lewis?
She's not here.
This is
Yes.
Alan.
Yes, Miss Allen, will you take this over?
I'm going to present these two resolutions, and I'd like to include the fact that what we're talking about here is expanding Kane County's outreach to try and help all businesses that are in place to try and soften the soil for all businesses that might be interested in coming here, in increasing our labor pool and how well they're paid, and in looking for opportunities for us all working together to make a more prosperous Kane County. Now, Anita Lewis is not here because she's out already doing the work. One of the things that's highest on her list is trying to make sure that young people coming into the workplace have choices. They might go to college, they may go to trade school, but they need to know what the options are. And that's what she's doing this morning. She is at East Aurora's Finding the Future event. So I'm here to present these resolutions, but you need to know how hard she drives this every day. The first resolution under the Jobs Committee is adopting a Kane County Economic Development Strategic Plan, big plan. Second resolution is approving and authorizing the execution of an agreement between the County of Kane and the Kane County Economic Development Corporation, referred to throughout the document as KCEDC, just way too many initials, for funding of the economic development purposes. I move these. May I ask for a second?
Strathman, I'll second.
Thank you.
Cheers, Swat.
I could do one and she could do the other.
Okay, we'll split it between the 1 and 2. So
can-
they
she can
they
do them
together.
together.
Oh, together? Okay, so why don't we do Ms. Strathman?
Oh, okay.
Now, the first one is a big plan. The second one is a big dollar amount. I don't know if you want to take these separately.
I think we should, well, you can, you pass them both, so we'll be voting on them together. So if you want to explain them separately, absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. Kane County has always had a big agricultural piece. And then because we were located on a river with transportation and resources and mobility, we became the center for manufacturing operations. And then because it's such a wonderful place to live, we had all these communities crop up because people wanted to live here. The strategic plan that has been developed here shows with graphs and numbers and exposition how we have moved through the years and shoots us towards where we want to go, which is basically the success of us all depends on our working together. 29 communities, as well as the unincorporated part of Kane County. Big businesses, small businesses, entrepreneurial businesses especially, all of the stuff that comes from our agricultural success and will move into the future. And then also tying in all of our education opportunities. We have great community colleges here, and we have people like Anita out in the high schools saying there are lots of choices to stay here and work, kids. This all became possible because, and I want to speak to this because I've been here a long time. And when the Jobs Committee was created, I said, well, why are we calling it jobs? Every other county in the world refers to economic development strategies. And I was always told, well, we're not ready. Now, thanks to leadership saying we are ready and a staff that is always watching for where can we get the money? How can we move forward? Mr. Van Kerkhoff's department, and in particular, Chris Toth, leading the way here. And then a group of people who want to see us all succeed. And as odd as this is, when COVID comes in and disrupts our lives in so many ways. One of the things that comes out of it is our saying to ourselves, what do we need to do to protect ourselves? So we talk about health and we talk about distancing and new ways of doing meetings and how we interact with each other and how we keep our businesses going and working from home, and Zoom becomes an ubiquitous part of our lives. But it also says, try to build as much resiliency into what you do as you can. And some of it has to do with protecting our economic structure, building it, maintaining it. So this great big document that you're looking at is making a million suggestions, well, maybe not a million, thousands of suggestions on how we can do this. And I think one of the wonderful things here is there's a lot of money involved, and most of that money is coming from outside. Staff found the RISE grant, state of Illinois. So we had money to hire an expert. We didn't have to hire an expert employee to do this. We hired an expert contractor to put together the strategic plan for us. And that was done with grant money. And then in the second resolution, we're using a big chunk of ARPA money, about $3 million, which will seed our plans for the next couple of years. And I expect success because we are not inventing the wheel. Virtually every county in the state of Illinois has a strategic plan and an office working to try and tie the bits of the county together. And we're just kind of late coming to the party. But here's our opportunity. And once we've seeded this organization and got it up and running, it will go and maintain itself. So I think that's the background that I want to present. If anyone has any questions, I'm not sure I'm the perfect person to do it, but I can try.
Are there any questions? The one comment that I would make, actually, I have probably 100 comments, and I'm just bubbling over with excitement with this opportunity, is that I'd like to remind the executive committee that this is going to be a private-public partnership, and I'm using private first. It is not led by government. We are there to support private industry and to guide as appropriate. It'll be a representative of industry, of a variety of different types of industry. As the board starts to expand, and we do have the 3 members who have all agreed to be the founding board. So we have a board in place. As that board expands, representatives from village municipalities and of course the county will be part of that. But we will not be the driving force. We will be the supporting force for private industry, the guidelines. And that will be the role of county government, to support private industry to expand appropriately in the full range of private industry. For the intersection between housing, which I and many of us have a great interest in, transportation needs, I and many of us have a great interest in, farming, et cetera, et cetera. So it's the full range of businesses here in Kane County. And if you've not had the opportunity to read this plan, I would say it's long, take a couple pages out of your day and read it. It'll take you about maybe a week to get through, and then earmark it, and you'll want to go back and reflect back on it. It's an extraordinary document which will guide us making our decisions going forward on how to support Kane County. So thank you very much for your work on this. It is deeply appreciated, and I'm excited to just get going. So is there any other comments on this? Yes, Mr. Tepe.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. This is something that I know that the committee has worked on, and I know that you've personally been involved in, and I think this is a big deal for the county. I think this is something that we should not only promote, but that's something that should be reported on each month at our board meetings so that we know the status of what's going on and the key things that are happening. This is something where we can really make an economic difference, and I think we have the tool and the resources to make this happen. And I'd like to see as many board members involved in this as possible, by the fact that you report back to us each month. So see if we can make this a key thing to help really improve the economy here in this county.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you.
Excellent, excellent suggestion to keep us all engaged. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank Ms. Allen for your excellent presentation. Of course, we've been talking about this in the Jobs Committee for months now. We finally got this shiny report, which is so beautiful. And your enthusiasm and passion for this just shines through. Thank you to Mark Van Kerkhoff hiding in the back row there. John, it's been a wonderful work of art here. So thank you for doing all this.
All right, then we will expect then there will be staff who will be eventually hired. And they can certainly come and we can put them on the agenda to do the report for the full board and the executive board as appropriate. If we're in agreement to that, but that the devil's in that detail. So let's not jump ahead. Do one thing at a time. So thank you. Do you have anything else to say, ma'am? You all done? Thank you, Deb. Anita, virtually, God bless you. Thank you. All right, with that, I think we need to take, you want to bring up number 2? You're done with number 2 as well. I think we're ready to take the vote.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina, Molina, yes. Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Happily, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe.
Tepe, yes.
Passes.
Wonderful. And I forgot to, before Miss Molina, just one real quick, from Mavis Bates, just relief. It will include dynamics of climate change opportunity.
Yes, it does.
Very good.
Very nicely.
Myrna?
And thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. The Judicial and Public Safety Committee met on September 12th, and I have 7 items I'd like to request move to the consent agenda. May I have a motion, or I'll make the motion to move all 7. If I can have a second.
Second, Berman.
Mr. Berman? Okay, first resolution is authorizing a radio tower agreement with the Village of Maple Park. The second, through the 6th resolution, there are authorizing a supplemental service agreement. First one is between Kane County and the Village of Wayne for police records management. The third is authorizing a supplemental service agreement between Kane County and the Village of Hampshire for police records management. Fourth is authorizing a supplemental service agreement between Kane County and the Village of Maple Park for police records management. The fifth is authorizing a supplemental service agreement between Kane County and the Village of Pingree Grove for the police records management. Sixth is authorizing a supplemental agreement between Kane County and the Village of Kempton Hills for police records management. And the 7th is authorizing a proclamation for probation and pretrial supervision week.
And with no further discussion, clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye. Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina. Molina, yes. Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Oh, sorry about that. Yes.
Tepe.
Tepe, yes.
Passes.
Okay, very good. Ms. Strathman?
Good morning, everybody. I have one resolution for you this morning, and it is resolution to authorize the agreement between Kane County Health Department and Association for Individual Development, known as AID, for naloxone vending machines.
Bates moves.
Ms. Bates.
I will move and last for a second.
Bates seconds.
8 seconds.
Thank you.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina. Molina, yes. Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe.
Steffi, yes.
Passes.
Thank you. Before we go on to transportation, Ms. Strathman, we've had discussion with Roger, and I believe absolutely you've been brought into this, to see if we can get some a vending machine here, Building A, and then as appropriate at the circuit clerk's office, if the circuit clerk would approve that, as well as, I don't know if the clerk's office would like to have one as well. Could you follow up on that?
Yes, ma'am.
And then see what we can do?
So at here and the circuit clerks are just the two?
And the clerks.
And the clerk. Okay, great.
I think those are our larger public access buildings where people may want to come in and out. I think everyone's pretty much covered at judicial. In the St. Charles complex, I think everyone's covered with there. And then obviously with the new potential health department building up in Elgin, we'll have to have one up there as well.
Yes.
But that's for next year.
Right, exactly.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who's presenting for Mark for transportation? But Mr. Kenyon, you've been quiet, so why don't you do it?
I will take over from Mark. We have 6 resolutions. The first one is approving purchase of 6 2025 tandem axle truck cabs and chassis for the Department of Transportation. The second is approval of adopt a highway applicants. The third is approval of agreement with ITRIS of Santa Ana, California for transportation assistance management and operation services. The fourth is approval of agreement with Atlas Technical Consultants, LLC of Chicago for network operations management engineering services. The fifth is approval of intergovernmental agreement with the city of Aurora for Orchard Road fence replacement. And the sixth is approving an amendment to the agreement with BLA of the Itasca for on-call design engineering service.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I submit all 6.
And is there a second?
Alan seconds.
Thank you, Miss Allen. Is there any discussion on any of this? Besides Ms. Bates being thrilled?
Yeah, I'm all excited.
With no other discussion, clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Berman, yes.
Pius,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis, I'm sorry, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe.
Steffi, yes.
Okay, very good. Now that ends our consent agenda. We have a new one on board with the Grand Victoria Riverboat funding. Who would like to bring that forward?
I would be the chair of that committee. This is Caius. I would move the resolution authorizing Grand Victoria Riverboat funding for the external projects for fiscal year 2024 and ask for a second.
Alan, second.
Okay, Miss Allen.
Jump right in. It's the last page of the agenda. I'd like to thank Mr. Berger and his staff for making this a relatively easy process, although we do have to study it for a weekend or so. And the members of the committee for diligently going through this. This year we have funded, I believe, all the applicants to some degree, and we allotted the traditional percentage that we have put into the external grants of $1,890,082. That's on page 123. So,
Very good.
any
This is-
questions,
Yeah, it's a wonderful project. Yes, Miss Allen.
Ms. Allen?
Yes, Miss Allen.
Alan, from the beginning of this, let's say, Mr. Hoshite was the chairman of this committee for a lot of years. And one of the things that he was concerned about was that the resources be spread, that they not be magnetized into a particular area. And I think that this speaks for all the years that we've been doing this. This is a tremendous amount of good spread across the whole county, all ages, all kinds of outreach, health, economic development. education. It's just such a wonderful program. I want to thank Mr. Caius and his committee and Mr. Berger and his minions for the support to make this work so well.
Yeah, some 29 awardees or something like that, the nature of 30 awardees. So spread it very nicely across the county.
Mr. Berman.
Berman here. Being on a committee was really an opportunity for us to select from the many people that make requests what we feel is the most, most favorable and the best for our money. And it's really been a challenge to be on that committee. But I think that we ended up with some good numbers for some good organizations. So thank you.
Ms. Strathman.
Sitting on the committee, I would agree with Mr. Berman. And we were able to disperse all of the funds except for $11, which we placed as seed money for next year.
Sounds like a martini.
I would assume in an interest-bearing account.
I hope so.
Yes.
How does this year compare to last year in terms of how much we got into the fund?
I don't know, is Mr. Berger on there? He's the number guy.
Yeah, Scott, are you on board? No, he's not. He's
Do
not.
you have a feeling if
similar.
it's growing or shrinking or similar?
I think
Is
traditionally we
enough?
expected to shrink, but we had the internal grants were greater, so I'm thinking this was greater as well.
Okay.
Very good. Very, very good. Excellent. Okay, with no other questions on that, let's take a celebratory vote. Salen?
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina. Molina, yes. Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges. He stepped away. Tepe.
Tepe, yes.
Passes.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Frank, I do not believe we have any need for an executive session. Wonderful. So, so it's my turn for some comments. And I've said lots of things already, but I just would like to talk to this board. And then I'll say the same thing for the full board. For the next 5 weeks, we have an election, no kidding. But I want to make sure that for the next 5 weeks, that we take time to listen to each other and not get into political discourse, so that we make good decisions based for the needs of the people of Kane County and for our districts, so that we don't talk about national politics unless they have a direct impact upon Kane County and the people of Kane County. That we really take time to say hello to somebody that we may feel as in opposite corners of us. That we just take time to be with each other, because we have 2 more months of being with each other. And then that's it. And then we're going to change. The dynamics will change depending on the outcome of the election. So just enjoy the last 2 years or 4 years that you've gotten to know people, and speak to them as people, not as political allies or political opponents, but just each other. So that would be my request. Okay, do we have Ms. Gumbs? Do you have any comments for legislative update?
I'm trying to
Michelle?
navigate here. Yes. I do have a couple of things. Just FYI, I apologize for the noise here. I'm multitasking at a degree you would giggle about. Anyways, let me get to it. By the way, Mr. Tepe, while I'm looking for this information, I am about to send you an email that I just got for the senior tax freeze. There's been a little information and I want you to have that.
Oh, good.
Also, while I'm looking for this, I know that our lobbyist team is working with a lot of staff on different issues, and I look forward to hearing about that in our next meeting. We won't have a meeting until November, and we're prepared for that. Federally, just so you're aware, they did pass a continuing resolution to get us through December 20th for the budget. And it's buffering, sorry. If you could come back to me in 2 minutes, it's buffering right now.
Oh, okay.
We're-
So we have any, we'll be right back. And then, Ms. Gumbs, could you please, if you're not ready today, but to send me an update of where we're going to 2651, HB 2651, because I want to make sure that that is steward. Keep on moving it
So
forward.
I can briefly speak about that. I do know that our team is working to try and get that call before. I shouldn't say before. They're trying to get it called in veto session. It is an uphill battle, but we're trying to get that done. So they're working on it. And I as well have had conversations, I'm sure you have as well, to try and make sure that we can get leadership to call that to be addressed.
All right, very good, very good.
I know it's super important, so we are trying to work on it.
Okay, it is. So we don't have to bring it back up again through the process for next year. All right, is your computer done buffering, or do you want us to come back to you?
Just 30 seconds here, I hope. I don't know what's going on.
All right, well, why don't we just come back to you and we can continue on. Are there any committee updates? Yes, sir.
Yes, this is Caius from the Administration Committee. As we postponed our viewing of the master plan this time, we expect to have that presentation in the Cal meeting and then bring it up for final approval through the exec and full board next month. And a note on that is, the master plan is good because if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're going. So this isn't all guaranteed, everything that's in there, but it gives us an idea of where we are right now and the possibilities of the future, potentials. More on the other items that are happening, our staff has been in full battle mode, getting all of the paperwork done to put all of the chillers and HVAC replacements on the JC. And it will be starting, just getting the paperwork done has been a really big task. And I applaud Mr. Fonstock and his staff of getting that done. We will be beginning after Thanksgiving, and we should be finishing with those projects in March. And then you may have noticed if you were here last week, the roof over our head this last week was replaced. So hopefully we won't see any spots in the ceiling this next year as the weather gets bad. So, and I think that's it. And on the other committee, I'll just do the Grand Victoria Riverboat. I think it would maybe behoove us to, if you have any suggestions about how you'd like to have this, examine what we've done this year, and then you have any suggestions, it might be that we could start before the applications and we really get into the paperwork in early spring, because they will start accepting applications next spring. How we want to deal with it that might improve what we're doing. I think we've did a pretty good job, but always looking for a better way to do things. So I think that's it for me.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Rothman. Oh,
Excuse me.
then
Berman,
Ms. Rothman.
Ms. Bates was asking about, the dollar amount, I think. Well, we all know there wasn't enough dollars to satisfy all the requirements. So there's always that opportunity.
Very good. Ms. Strathman.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I see Executive Director Michael Isaacson is online, and I would like to ask him, to ask Ms. Peterson to present before the board next week, an excellent presentation they did before the Health Department, Health Committee meeting last month, and about the behavioral health science project that we're moving forward on. And she introduced her staff, and it was an excellent presentation. And I would like the full board to see that.
That'd be wonderful. If we can just restrict it to about 5 minutes, I think, holistically, because of the length of the meeting, I think we can get a lot done in 5.
Okay.
But the highlights are welcome.
It was very well done, and it would be interesting for everybody to see.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great idea. Anybody else?
Madam Chair Gumbs.
Hold on, Ms. Gumbs.
Want to take her first?
Yeah, absolutely. Then. Thank you.
Before she loses her place.
Okay. All right, Michelle, part 2.
You're a gentleman, Mr. Kenyon. Gumbs here. I got it up here. So federal updates, I just wanted to note that on September 25th, 78 to 18, they did pass the bipartisan continuing resolution That averts the shutdown for the federal government, and that goes through to December 20th. Also on the state level, we have some issues with our what's the word? It's Public Act 102-1123, and I just want to note that it's the Wind and Solar Facility Task Force has been created to address some of the problems that we have. And I look forward to hearing from our staff and our other board members that are engaged in that for updates coming forward. So we are working on that, and our legislators are aware of the issues that we've got going on. It's not just Kane County, it's throughout the state. Other than that, on the state level, I don't have a lot of updated information. We do have some meetings that are being arranged by our lobbyists with some of our legislators on specific conversations right now that are forthcoming. So.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, Mr. Kenyon.
The Agricultural Committee wants you to know that this is National Pork Month. And if you want to help us celebrate, you can go through the Phase Drive-In by the Farm Bureau and have your drive-in meal Thursday, so your wife doesn't have to cook, or your husband.
Or how about?
You don't have to.
And if you don't have a wife?
But
If you don't have a wife.
it's like some nights off, but we're busy with harvest, so watch out for the slow-moving machines, and that's it.
Okay, very good.
It's a way of life on the farm.
Good pork. Those are good meals.
I've had the opportunity to meet the family who does the pork chops. They live in DeKalb. Lovely family, very proud of what they've accomplished and what they do, and it's wonderful food.
Thursday night, you can take the food home, Caius, on your way. Take it, your wife would just
Perfect.
love it.
She loves them. It's great.
It's very good.
All right, if there's nothing else, I think.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yes.
If I can just remind everybody, there are 2 events happening this afternoon. We have our drug court, specialty court graduation ceremony at 5 p.m. At the Randall Road Courthouse. And then there is also the OEM volunteer graduation dinner also in the St. Charles area. So if anybody's available for both of those events, we look forward to seeing you there.
When is the OEM? It's this evening?
This evening, I believe it's 6. Yeah, so back to back. If you guys are on Randall Road today.
Just stop. How many people are graduating from the drug court?
I don't think they announced a number.
We don't know? Okay, just curious. All righty. Okay. Anything else before I give it over to Mr. Kenyon? Okay, sir, you got it.
You know, by being on this board, we know a lot of good things that happen, like the drug court. Many good things start right here in Kane County, and you hear stuff in news and you say, we're already doing that. They have many different courts trying to make it easier for our citizens. So there's a lot to learn, and we got a lot to be satisfied with. It's a good county.
It's a good.
So I move we adjourn and get on to our day, right, Deborah?
Absolutely. Okay, all in.